Alright, grade 8. I hope that you're doing well today. We'll start our revision for the grammar for the exam next week. And page 58, we were speaking about using verbal and verbal phrases. And please, guys, please mention the title. Mention the title. If you don't know what exactly are you speaking or what exactly are you seeking for, consequently, you will answer wrongly. So, to speak about the verbals and verbal phrases. Verbal and verbal phrases, they are form that is used in a sentence as a verb, but as another part of speech. So, simply when I bring any verb and put to the verb ing, like the verb play, for example, and put for it ing. So I say playing is my best time, for example, or favorite game. So playing here in this case, it was just a verb, but you brought the verb and you added ing to the verb. The ing here, it changed the type of the verb in order to become a noun. Once again, it's not a noun. It acts as a noun. So from play into playing, it's called the verbal or the gerund form. Is used as a noun. But once again, it's not a noun. And of course, you have many types of the verbal and verbal phrases. For example, we can have a present participle. Present participle. The present participle is the verb and adding ing to it, like playing, or startling, or loving, listening, playing. Any verb plus ing is called the present participle form of the verb. A second form is the past participle. We can have the past participle by two means. Number one, if the sentence itself or the tense itself is a past participle. If the tense itself is past participle or the third form of the verb. Like, for example, if we have play, we keep play and to add to it ed in order to become played. That's one form. So we can have that form played in order to get the past participle. Or you have another type. If the verb itself was irregular, like cut, for example. So you will have cut, cut, cut. So you can use that as the past participle. And also, while using the past participle, we do not use it as a verb, but sometimes we use it as an adjective. As an adjective. Consequently, we call it a verbal or a verbal phrase. Like when we say peeled fruit is easier to eat. The verb here is peel, and we used the past participle form of it, peeled, in order to describe which type of fruit. So we are using the past participle here as an adjective. So peeled fruit, peeled here, used as an adjective, not as a verb. Consequently, we call it verbal. We have also the participle phrase, ing or ed, or the third form of the verb, but along with other words, or a prepositional phrase, for example, like potatoes kept in a cellar can last all winter. So, of course, all of this phrase here is called the participle phrase. Of course, that's the past participle form, and it's used as an adjective in order to describe the potatoes. Which potatoes are you speaking or calling or talking about? Those who are kept in a cellar. In the exam, you will be asked to choose the participle or participle phrase in each sentence. For example, turning the corner, I slipped on the ice. When did you slip on the ice? While I was turning the corner. So turning the corner is your participle phrase.
Present participle.
That's present participle, yes. But all of it, Ali, because here it's not only one word. If it's one word, we call it present participle or past participle. But here you have a whole phrase, so it's called the participle phrase. The ing form along with another word or a prepositional phrase. If you have one word, that's present participle or past participle. If you have more than one word, that's called a participle phrase. Participle phrase. Brandon, sneaking into the theater, ran right into his parents. So, Brandon ran right into his parents when sneaking into the theater. So, sneaking into the theater describes Brandon. All of it is called the participle phrase. Mr. Bashir's car stalled because of an overheated radiator. Here I have only one word, overheated, to describe the radiator. So that's called past participle. Okay, Ali?
Okay, teacher.
And of course, the rest we have already solved all of it. In practice B, write the participle on the line and label it past participle or present participle. So perhaps in the exam, I'll bring to you one of these and tell you, okay, right now, choose the participle and say, or I'll write the participle, for example. The intruding sounds of voices distracted me from my work. So intruding, for example, I get it for you, and I say it's a past participle. Is that right or wrong? Of course, that's wrong, because here it's a present participle. Okay? So I either get you question where you choose the participle or participle phrase, or the second one to choose whether the participle here is present participle or past participle. For page 59, we were speaking about the adjectival clauses. Adjectival clauses. Simply, guys, once you see the word adjective or adjectival, directly know that you are describing or modifying a noun. Once you see adjective or adjectival, you are describing a noun. So adjectival clause, it's a clause. Remember when we studied the clauses, subordinate clauses and dependent clauses and independent clauses, or main and subordinate? It's a clause, but we use a whole clause in order to describe just one noun. So an adjectival clause or adjective clause is a subordinate clause. But a million line here. It's a subordinate clause, meaning that it cannot stand alone, and it will always modify a noun or a pronoun. For example, you have here the tree that dropped its leaves is the sick one. Of course, the main clause is the tree is the sick one. But here we got all of that clause that dropped its leaves in order just to describe the tree. Or that had wheels on it, where my house is, who live in Egypt. All of these describe the noun before them. And remember this, all these subordinate clauses shall describe the noun before them, directly before them. So for example, here you have that dropped its leaves describes the tree. That had wheels on it, the luggage. Where my house is, the neighborhood. Who live in Egypt, my relatives. Always describes or modifies the noun before them. In the exam, you will be asked to choose the adjectival clause or the adverbal clause in the second sentence or second page. For the adjectival clause, all you need to do is just to find the clause subordinate one that describes or modifies a noun. I asked Tony for the jersey that he won or he wore today. So that he wore today describes the jersey. You have Leo gives points to the people who work extra. Who work extra modifies the people. Consequently, here you have what? You have a subordinate clause modifying a noun. All you need to do is just to choose it. The same thing goes in page 60 to speak about the adverbal clause. On the other hand, here the adjectival clause was modifying a noun. On the other hand, the adverbal one is also a subordinate clause, but it modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. So always an adjective will modify a noun or a pronoun, and an adverb will modify a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. And of course, to start these subordinate clauses, perhaps you will need some subordinating conjunction, like after, in order that, when, although, since, whenever, as, so, where, because, than, wherever, before, though, while, even though, unless, if, until, and even if and even though. So all of these, once you find them, you just directly know the clause after them is a subordinate clause. If you find any of these subordinating conjunction, always the clause after them is going to be a subordinating one. For example, here, Trent likes horses, even though he has never ridden one. Even though he has never ridden one modifies the verb likes. Ian ran inside because the wind was strong. Why did Ian run inside? So here the clause modifies the verb ran. So in the exam, you will be asked to just identify or choose the adjectival clause which describes a noun, or the adverbal clause which describes a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. So far, so good? Yes?
Can you give me page 60 practice B, please? Because I don't have it.
It's not on class zero?
I don't think so.
Practice B, fill in the blank with a subordinate conjunction to create a sentence with an adverbal clause. So I'm taking Gretchen with me to the movie, blank, I don't really want to, even though. Even though, or although, or even if. Any one of them is correct. So the answer in practice B may vary. Aunt Judy bought a new space heater. Blank, the cabin wouldn't be so cold, so that the cabinet or the cabin wouldn't be so cold. I want to have my room redecorated. Blank, Carrie gets here from once. Carrie gets here, or even you can write before. Both of them are correct. Blank has.
So practice B is not gonna come in the quiz because it is may vary.
Yeah, the answer may vary, and I'm not bringing that in the quiz.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
In page 61, speak about the simple sentence. Simply, to speak about simple sentence, you need to know that it's just consisting of one single independent clause. Independent clause means three things: subject plus verb plus complete information. Subject, verb, and complete information. Subject, verb, and complete idea or complete thought or complete information will give you an independent clause. Okay? So if I have a subject and a verb, but my sentence doesn't make any sense, it is not independent clause. So one single independent clause will lead into a simple sentence. Like, for example, Anna lives next door to Chris and Andy. Anna, subject, lives, verb, next door to Chris and Andy, prepositional phrase that gives us the complete thought. Consequently, it's simple sentence. Carl acts tough, even though he's not brave. So Carl acts tough. Until here, that's a simple sentence. Even though he's not brave, that's a subordinate clause. So it's not simple. That's complex sentence. Not simple. Complex sentence. Nina decided to stay home. Subject, verb, prepositional phrase to give the complete idea. Simple. We brought Caesar home with us since his car had broken down. So I have here, we brought Caesar home with us until here, until us. That's a simple sentence. Starting from since till the end, that's subordinate clause. So one independent and one dependent, that's complex sentence, so not simple. Oliver is now a walking, talking 2-year-old. Oliver is now a walking, talking 2-year-old. So all of it describing just one subject and one verb. So that's a sentence. Ammon and Appy are really together, or rarely together. So Ammon and Appy subject are verb, really adverb of frequency, and together to give the complete idea. So that's simple. When I gave him the instruction, subordinate clause, so not simple. Because subordinate clause, not simple. Okay. And the exam, I'll ask you whether to tell the sentence is simple or not, or to choose which type of the sentence, because we have already studied the 4 types of sentences: compound, complex, and compound complex sentence. Okay, boys.
Okay, wait. You're gonna ask us if the sentence is
I
compound.
write a sentence. Yeah, I'm gonna just give you 4 choices: simple, compound, complex, or compound complex.
Okay.
Let's have a look. If the sentence is simple, it means one independent clause. Only one independent clause. If the sentence is compound, you have 2 independent clauses. 2 independent, 2 full information, along with the coordinating conjunctions. Remember the coordinating conjunction? The coordinating conjunction are abbreviated into fan boys. Fan boys. F for, A for and, N for nor, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for so. So these are the coordinating conjunction. Once you have 2 independent clauses connected by one of these conjunctions, then it's a compound sentence. On the other hand, if you have 1 independent clause and 1 dependent clause, consequently you will have the complex sentence. And the complex sentence will never, the complex sentence always will have 1 subordinate and 1 main clause. And the subordinate clause will always start by a subordinating conjunction. Subordinating conjunction like those in page 60. After, in order that, when, although, since, whenever, any one of these subordinating conjunction. And of course, of the last one, you have compound, complex. Compound means 2 independent clauses, and complex 1 or more dependent clause. So at least in the simple sentence, you will have 1 independent clause. And remember this, independent clause can have a compound subject, a compound verb, or a compound subject and verb. It doesn't mean that the sentence itself is compound, but we have compound subject, more than 1, or compound verb, more than 1 action verb, or a compound subject and a compound verb. So that's okay in a simple sentence. But once you have 2 independent clauses, that's a compound sentence. 1 independent and 1 dependent, that's complex. 2 independent and 1 dependent, that's a compound complex. And the main and subordinate clauses are the same. The 4th function of the sentence, on the other hand, you have a sentence can state an idea or information and end this in a period, it's called declarative. I play football. If you are asking a question, it's interrogative. Giving an order, imperative. If you are showing a strong feeling, it's called exclamatory, and ends in exclamation mark. So both declarative and imperative will end in a period. The interrogative always will end in a question mark, and the exclamatory ends in an exclamation mark. And to combine the parts of the sentence, simply you can have a compound subject, compound verb, compound direct object, or even a compound sentence, which has two independent clauses. I think that's going to be it for the exam.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
You are very welcome. Any question, guys?
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
Okay, if you have any question or anything that is not on Classera, just send me a message and I'm gonna upload it. And enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Ramadan.
Goodbye, teacher.
Goodbye to you.
Teacher, now we have a break or what?
Yeah, you have a break until 12.
And 20 minutes?
11 to 11:30. You have a session now. No. Now you have a session.
It's not appearing.
You have a session 11:30.
Teacher.
Let me check. Yes.
My question is, did you guys release a schedule for the Ramadan schedule thing?
That's it.
Oh yeah, it came, teacher.
Yeah, where?
It's on Classera.
Schedule, I can't find it.
Okay, take a screenshot.
Oh.
I will take a screenshot.
Now
also,
you
teacher.
have math, Mr.
Okay, got it.
Thank you, teacher.
You
So this is our new schedule.
Yeah, that's your new schedule until Thursday. We will work for it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And starting from next week, you will start your exams. The exams will start at 12:30. 12:30 or 12.
Dang, I got so much sleeping time now.
12:40, I believe. 12:30 or 12:40.
Teacher, but there is a problem now.
Which is?
On third period, it says math, not Arabic.
The exam starts 12:30. Yes. Come again. The third period here you have math. Yes.
It is Thursday, not Wednesday.
Math also.
It's supposed to be Arabic. That is what it tells us in the virtual class.
Perhaps the math teacher had a counter-action in your schedule and another class schedule, and they changed it. You will find the specific schedule here on Classera, page 1. Yeah, that's it. Let's download it. Okay, that's the schedule timing. Oh, that's the timing.
It is only the timing.
Okay, join the session that says starts in 11:30. Just join.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
You are very welcome. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.